Hello, Mom. Hi, Dad. How you doing? I'm your future child. I'm just greeting you from the future, one of your many future children. Um, yeah. Thank you for your defiant love. Thank you for joining. So you're in an interracial relationship, or you want to get into one, right? Let's discuss the implications of that. This is Nuance with Nikki, the nitty gritty, even if it's shitty. My channel is not appropriate for children typically because I speak about everything that bothers me. In order to cope, me and my 15 personalities need some cigarettes, okay? I swear like a sailor and smoke like a chimney on this channel, right? It is unpretentious, it is real. You're in my living room, you don't know whether or not I've showered, I might be having a drink. It is what it is, it's unpolished, okay? So, Mom, Dad, can we have an adult conversation? An uncomfortable one, but also a fair one. I've thought about this video for a long time, but now that I've seen this video, it just cropped up on my YouTubes, my heart said go for it. And I don't even know where to start. So I'm going to ask you, please, Mom, Dad, listen to the whole thing. You live in the luckiest period in history to be in an interracial couple right now, believe it or not. No matter what struggles you face, you have a freedom of movement, you have a level of representation, you have a level of support that is unprecedented in the last at least 4 centuries, right? Before that, there were plenty of interracial relationships. Please go watch more of my videos where I speak about this, right? Otherwise, we're going to be here forever. It's Nuance and Nikki. You might just be here forever. It tends to be long-form content whenever I think I'm going to make short form content. Nikki, sorry. You are supremely lucky. But many parents of interracial kids are people who lead from the heart. You are people who have a defiant love. You are idealistic, but not realistic. You don't look at the reality of what you're creating. Now, please, I'm not here to say, do not put words in my mouth. I never said I don't deserve to exist. Your love, your defiant love is what I am made of. Okay? Your courage and the fact that you're slightly crazy, that's what I'm built on. Okay? I believe that I deserve to breathe and live. What I am asking you to do is not to be naive about it. Okay? Can we have an adult conversation? It's also harmful to fetishize interracial relationships. So just to get out of the way, can I speak about reasons not to get into one? Okay? Because the thing is, mixed race children are not ornaments. We are people. Mama, Daddy, I am not your get out of racism free card. I'm a person. I'm not here to end the generational cycle of trauma of racism for you because of hopes of perhaps cleansing the blood. I'm not here to raise and protect you. That's parentification. Okay? It's your job to protect me, Daddy. All right? I am not an ornament. I'm not here to you to prove to yourself that, you enjoyed your jungle fever. Okay, I think that's a cheapening of it. But that you did something exotic. Okay? I'm a person. So please don't get into an interracial relationship if that is your vibe. If your vibe is some kind of aspiration, you're being aspirational. You want to prove maybe how woke you are. I know not everybody's this shallow. Most interracial parents aren't this shallow, but they are, because it's becoming trendy, people are cheapening the seriousness of it. So just let me talk to those people first. I'm a human being. Do you understand? Your future child. This is not the place to exercise your proximity to whiteness or exercise your proximity to blackness or any of those shallow reasons. If you are at that place in your maturity, baby, you're not ready for any child. You're not. But you're certainly not ready to bring a child of this complexity into the world. Because this child will live at an intersection. No matter how rough your life has been, no matter how smooth, no matter how heavy the traffic, that child's going to live at the intersection of both, and that intersection gets busy. They're going to walk into rooms where every single room they're perceived as a different race, and they have to navigate that complexity each time, whether or not that's positive or negative. Right? They are going to be fetishized too young. They're going to be sexualized too young. It's getting hot. Let me take off my jersey. fetishized. Oh, mixed race children are the most beautiful. A well-meaning status, a well-meaning statement. Harmful. No, we're not. We can be fugly. We are people. These kinds of things have this undercurrent of exoticism. So it's like, oh, look at that brown child with the green eyes, or whatever the case is, right? I'm curious. People look at your child with more curiosity than they may look, especially if they're a unique looking child. Do you know what I mean? They look like a bit of an anomaly. By the way, your child will not look the same race throughout their lives. Okay, throughout our lives, we kind of change. We may look more like our one race when we're born, and then more like our other race when we're older, and then something in between. So in each phase of our life, we've got to navigate this new thing, right? Your child. So there's this whole fetishization. Oh, the pretty boy, mixed race boy, and especially the girls. There's the complexity of having universal appeal, but also having something that's just different enough to be interesting. Fine in the eyes of people who are innocent and well-meaning to your child, but come on. Predators? Or, do you get what I mean? Even people, like anywhere across the spectrum. That child's going to be a magnet for many people. And they're going to be sexualized too young because they're going to be those who will keep reminding them that their parents had sex across the color line, as if their own parents didn't have sex. It's going to happen. And as a parent of mixed race children, you're going to pay mixed race tax because you become mixed race for the first time. The minute that ring is on the finger, from that first date and that first kiss, you're going to pay a level of tax you didn't know existed. The small race group that has lived in the shadows now, which is becoming the largest growing race group in the world. It is you that I'm trying to equip. If you assume that because you live in a world that's always had racial complexity, that you know what's coming, you're already at a disadvantage. This child is going to have the generational cycles to end for more than one continent. Okay? Now, it's not all a sob story. Some of it is wonderful. There are many benefits too because it's complex. Nothing about being mixed race is black and white. But I want to prepare you. So can we have an adult conversation? Okay. So before I say anything, thank you for having a defiant love. Thank you for your bravery. You are right to love. You have a right to love whoever you want. Of course you do. Okay? But I'm just talking today about the responsibility you now bear within that context. Complexities around hair texture. They're not as shallow as you think. Don't oversimplify things like that. Okay? My intuition tells me to pause here and to go on to our video. I find it upsetting. This is a story that boils my blood. I do want to say that I find it unusual for South Africa. I find it highly surprising. Very disappointing. But if it does happen in the shadows, perhaps I'm speaking from a place of privilege, living in Johannesburg, then I'm willing to listen to those stories. By the way, one of your first responsibilities if you choose to give birth to me, your mixed race child, is to craft a world for them, especially when they are young, at least until the age of 6 or 10, where they're not surrounded by the kinds of people that are going to victimize them too young. Not all mixed race children feel like they don't fit in. A lot of us are actually more confident than others because we've been deeply loved. But it is important that a 6-year-old has to deal with doing the ABCs and a 4-year-old has to deal with learning how to wipe their butt, not with race and politics. Do you understand? So you have to either move to somewhere or cancel friends, even cancel family for a little while that are going to have these kinds of rhetoric around your child when they're young and vulnerable and just trying to learn their ABCs and learn Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They deserve that development first. Then, maybe around the age of 9, 10, earliest, maybe like a teenager, then you can loosen the reins of it because they do need an immunity. Do not raise them naive about this world because your child is going to be naive. They're going to see a family that loves across the color line. They're going to be too trusting and then they're going to interact with people who aren't trustworthy. And there have been centuries of mixed race girls being caught out by this. Okay? There are centuries of evil behind this, which is why I encourage you to watch my videos on creolized races. And what I hope is your 2 things are impressed upon you. Number 1, how lucky you are to live in the period you live in now. Number 2, just to have the vocabulary to navigate it. Don't let your child's future be in your blind spot. Even if you think I'm talking crap, for the sake of your child, don't let your child's future be in your blind spot. If you are not mixed race, if your parents were the same color, don't assume that you know what you're doing. It's not small. You said you want to love defiantly, love responsibly, okay? Okay, I think I could only stomach it one time. Now, this is not something that she was used to. She had moved to a different city to get a job, an interview, right? And so she was very surprised and unprepared for this, okay? So, yeah. There's a Viking saying that a warrior never walks without his weapons. Do not let naivety be the reason that you're not prepared for these dynamics. It's much better to go through them on video and know what may happen around the corner. You might live in a world that's soft and loves you interracially no matter what, and then you turn a corner down the wrong alley. Okay? Metaphorically and physically. Let's listen to what Mama has to say here.
Walked this colored guy comes to me.
And before you come for her, colored is what we are called in South Africa, the creolized race. My mom is colored, okay? If you feel some type of way about that, I'm sorry. As South Africans, we don't apologize to the Western world for what our history is. It's actually quite a positive word. We've been called far worse slurs than that, and there's a long history. For further information, check my channel. But please, for the sake of a discourse, please put that aside. It may trigger you. I understand. We know your history. Trust me. Okay, it is us that lives in your blind spot. So we have a context. It's massive. We can't get into it here. I will ask you, though, to put your Western notions of moral superiority aside. I know that sounds arrogant. We don't have time. Let's move on.
Trying to stop me. Hey sister. Then I stop, I look back. Hi boy. It's the Metropolis car. It's the Metropolis car coming back up, and it's the guy running towards me. A Metropolis. So the Metropolis comes to me, and then he's like, sorry sissy, whose baby is this? I said, huh? He said, whose baby are you carrying? I said, I didn't even answer, guys. I just made, like a nervous laugh, or that laugh that you make in disbelief. I was just like, and then he's like, and then as I'm still like looking at this guy, like what is this guy talking about? And then the other 2 come in the front. That was the Metropolis. Guys, I was attacked by the Metropolis. 2 colored guys and the 1 black guy. I couldn't believe it. In a way, I understand. When Tingo was more, he was very fair, and compared to now, his hair was straight. He literally was born with no hair, and then when it came out, it was a brownish blonde, and it was like flat down. You could say,
Mama, you don't have to apologize for the fact that your child is a different complexion. There's no excuse. Mixed race children look like our parents. Look like doesn't mean the same color. People need to look at features. In the middle of apartheid, I had more fear that people might not think I'm my mom's child. I look a lot like her. I just look like a photocopy with a different amounts of ink. I saw photos of a child. He looks like her. You are not the problem. You inhabit the space with your child. You don't have to clarify that for us.
that is white. But in a way, I just don't like the way they approach the whole thing. How? Okay, it's as if I stole someone's baby now. Anyway, these two guys come to me.
So the undercurrent there is, if I stole someone's baby, that is you paying mixed race tax, mama. That's you paying mixed race tax. The mixed race man and the creolized man has been seen as a gangster and a thug and that kind of thing. You may have these stereotypes about people like Latinos or Mestizos. You may have these stereotypes around the Romani, the Gypsy, depending on where you live, and never notice that you have that. There's a very real reason why in the collective mind he's been demonized like that. Okay, with the mixed race man being the biggest threat to colonialism and all those things, right? This has happened long before interracial relationships. King Arthur comes to mind. The TV show Barbarians of the Germanic Roman soldier comes to mind. The one that is a child straddling both worlds and will fight. And so there's been a concerted effort, deeper than you know. Go watch my hours and hours of videos. Very precise to insert into our minds this notion of the untrustworthy mixed race man. There's also the tax you will pay of the mixed race woman whore archetype. Very real reasons for that in society. This, however, is a case of misogyny towards black women. She's going to describe later in this video, I may or may not play it for you, of how her white husband doesn't go through this. But he's going to go through other stuff. Okay, do not think that white men, for example, aren't discriminated against in these things. I'm speaking about this to prepare you. This is what you're signing up for. Okay, not everywhere. Not everywhere. You live in the Disneyland of eras now for mixed race couples. But there are these alleys and avenues that you need to be prepared for, mama. You need to be prepared for, papa. Okay? Don't let it surprise you now.
And then the black one starts talking again. Hey, sissy, even if you wanted to, this could not be your baby. 3 Metro police cars, 2 in front of me, 1 right next to me.
Okay, so another dynamic to be aware of there. It was black and colored men doing it to this woman. Now, I'm not saying this is their motives, but one of the things you have to be aware of if you are the kind of interracial couple that stands out. For example, I'm currently in the kind of interracial couple that won't really turn heads, right? Because we just kind of, I don't know how we look, but we look similar, okay? There are full-on mixed race people. Full-on mixed race people in my country. We're the most genetically mixed race people. That's the colored people who have to face mixed race tax or interracial couple tax because one is very fair and one is very dark. All right? So you guys are the ones I call the professional mixed race couples because, there is a different thing that you're going to have to straddle. If you're the kind of couple where they turn their heads. By the way, please don't assume that everybody that's turning their heads is judging you. Some people are just curious. Okay? Not everybody is judging. Some people are actually like, whoa, that's cool. All right? And I know that happens less frequently in more metropolitan areas today, but it's not all malice. It's just surprise. So please don't also paint everyone with the same brush. Being in an interracial relationship is not black and white. There are many shades of gray and it's a whole spectrum. Okay, but the one dynamic I wanted to speak about is often men of your race, when they're in groups or whatever, this is low frequency men. The kind of men that think of women as property. The kind of men who have rhetoric around, but he's taken our queen, right? Who see women not as a person and an equal partner. Remember, you interracial couples, you tend to lead more from a soulmate perspective. You don't care about the color of someone's skin because you realize it's a meat package. You're more interested in the soul. Don't be naive, spirit warrior, or whatever you are, or highly evolved being. Whatever your vocabulary is for a more evolved person. You live in a world of unevolved people as well. And some of them operate in a world where they think of it like prison gangs. And that's my piece of meat. That's my ornament. That's now where misogyny intersects with this. And so this man took our girl, the implied ownership. Sir, you've never met me. I'm not your girl. And they will then try and emasculate you because you took their girl. There's a resentment. And these kinds of men, low frequency men, are not they're not lone wolves. Right? Many of you will tend to be more lone wolves. The current vocabulary around that is sigma male, sigma female, right? But these alpha bro types, and by the way, in my mind, an alpha bro is just the best beta. There's no such thing as an alpha, please. Sigma is more your lone wolf, more like a tiger, less like a lion. Doesn't really go into pride. Depends on himself, right? An alternative person. The astrological term for that would be more like Scorpio energy, okay? Sorry if you're not into astrology. That's just... I'm weird. Whatever. I'm weird. Leave me alone. Okay? So just be aware of that bro code shit. Okay? It'll be there. And now she as a woman is alone with her son. Easy pickings. These kind of cowardly men. Just be aware of the dynamic, okay? It happeneth. It happeneth. I recommend jiu-jitsu. Gosh, I should go to jiu-jitsu.
As if everyone is looking at me like, what did this lady do? Did she really steal the baby or what? So anyway, this black guy is like,
Did she really steal the baby? There it is. The mixed race person, which is now you because you're in an interracial relationship. I'm going to speed it up so we can get past the story. You are not credible. She's going to speak here about how they don't even allow her to get her voice out. Okay, you're going to pay this tax, baby, but you're lucky because there's so many more of you, so you can stand together today, honey. But don't cheapen it. Don't pretend it's not happening. Don't say these stupid things like mixed race babies are the prettiest. That's a plaster on a gun wound. We'll get into that rabbit hole.
You need to tell us whose baby this is, because as much as we would like to believe that it's yours, it's kind of impossible with the way he looks. And I don't know if you watch news, but there's been a lot of babies missing here in Cape Town. You know, the people don't even give me a chance to say anything, literally. I didn't have anything to say, but they literally didn't even give me a chance to say anything. Guys, the South Africa we live in. So anyway, just quiet. And then the other colored guy now, there's two colored guys, ne? The second colored guy now says to me, do you have, I think that's the only person who wasn't as rude. And then he's like, do you have any form of documentation to prove that this is your baby? Guys, I don't know why I did this. Luckily, it's not even some form of luck. But anyway, I had Tino's birth certificate and his immunization card in his bag with me. And then I took the certificate, the birth certificate. I showed it to this guy. And then this guy is like, the black guy was reading. And then he makes a laugh. I still even remember that laugh up to this day, guys. He's like, and then he laughs. He's like, oh.
A mother
so you're
had
not
to
lying.
verify. A mother had to verify that a child was hers. That laugh, you will see that fucking laugh. Let me tell you my story about how I got 2 Americans fired from here in sunny Johannesburg. The one lady's name. My husband was coming here to meet me. He's going to Africa to meet his girlfriend. Perhaps pop the question is what he says. It's COVID. She finds every way she can to make sure that he doesn't fly. I try and speak to her manager about it very kindly. I'm dismissed. I'm hung up on. I did lose it. Remember, I'm a child of stubborn people. You mixed race people, you're a little bit insane. You tend to be more brave. You know, more Spartans than Athenians, more fighters than philosophers. Okay, I'm sorry, more brawns than brain. I'm not saying you're not brainy. You are very brainy people. I didn't say you're stupid. I'm just saying you're more, you know. And so your kids, us, we're stubborn. Hey, don't say that I insulted your intellect. Listen to my intellect. Come on. I'm just saying we tend to be born of warrior stock. Do you understand? So we're stubborn kids. Very stubborn, especially first generation mixed race kids. We are stubborn. So, baby girl Zooms her future husband has the classiest interview you could, because I was not going to play down to the stereotype of the angry black woman. Remember, your child, no matter how fair, will still, mommy, pay black tax. Your daughter's going to go through misogynoir as well. And it's confusing because she'll have to jump. Okay, this is going to happen less so to your children than to those of us who are older. But it's going to happen, baby. It's going to happen. Okay? You've watched it happen in recent years. I won't be getting into controversial stories. Baby girl Zooms her husband, says very nicely to him, because you must remember, this is early 2021. Good afternoon. I understand that right now is a very difficult time for the travel industry, what with COVID. I also understand that right now it's a very tense time in America for race. So I don't want to be making any accusations that are unfair. And I'm like, but this is my boyfriend who experienced what he considers to be racism in the situation. Baby, why do you feel this is racism? And he spoke about the story, and I made it clear that I didn't take that very lightly. I reported the airline to the Department of Transport in America. I went across. I found every report I could do. I said, I want to make it clear. We do not want free tickets. We do not want any kind of thingy to upgrade. This is a matter of dignity. We ask you for nothing but an acknowledgement and an apology. I will not make this video public. I will give you 48 hours to sort it out, I said. And then I asked my husband, what is his desired outcome? Is it disciplinary action? Is it this or is it that? I will not mention this airline because they stuck to their deadline and they stuck to their word. And he received a full apology. And they said they're not allowed to tell us what the disciplinary action was. But of the 3 people that were involved, the one guy was fine. But of the 3 people that were involved, or, the 2 bad girls, they were nowhere to be seen. And the 3rd couldn't look him in the face. Even though he wasn't a bad guy, right? But he couldn't look him in the face. And a guy ran out of baggage to come and ask him, Mr. Nikki's husband, is everything okay? Cool. I set the tone for that interaction. Now, obviously, a lot of that comes from management skills. I set a deadline. I made it realistic. I gave a responsibility that was going to happen there. What do you call it? Like a, carrot and stick. The vocabulary has left me in my ADD mind. It's fine. And, I was respectful. I started with respect, but I went for accountability. And I acknowledged their complexity. You see? That's a lot of skills that you need. Obviously, that comes from management. Part of that comes from being South African. Part of that comes from being the Joburger. We have been raised to produce first world results with third world tools. A lot of that also, what is underscored by that is the deep empathy of a mixed race person, but also their resilience and strength once they are in alignment. Okay? We do face a chaotic period before we are in alignment with ourselves. In that period, the pendulum will swing from post to post, rejecting one of the races we came from, and then turning to the other side, rejecting the other, right? You may, in some of us, hear some of the worst racist rhetoric when we go through this phase. And then, as we come into alignment with ourselves, and as we just accept all of it, we can be some of the most grounded, strongest people on the face of this planet. Mama, I don't know where you are. I appreciate you. I love you. You did nothing wrong. You didn't deserve that. The problem is not you. This is a global and historic problem. If you're still with me, at 27 minutes, Nikki, why can't you ever make a short video? Let's go on to how this looks on the international stage. Thank you, ladies and gentle peeps. Give me a second so I don't make you watch the whole video. Everybody keeps acting like this is a surprise. Listen to this, please.
We're going to turn now to a medical rarity. A set of twins born to an Ohio couple, both perfectly healthy and beautiful. The only thing is, one looks black, one looks white.
Neither of them looks black or white. They look mixed race. 100% mixed race. It is not a medical anomaly. It is normal with mixed race children. Ask me, who comes from the most genetically mixed race community in the world. I am not taking any questions. Even our identical twins, believe it or not, will have a slight difference in complexion. Well, how are they identical? I don't know. How are you asking me dumb questions and questioning me on mixed races when I've been mixed race for 400 years? Shh. I'm not cross with you. I'm cross with the dynamic, okay? I'm cross with the dynamic, and I'm cross with the slut shaming that my parents have to go through here. There's a sentence here she said that I liked.
Charles and Christy Cunningham don't really pay much attention to their baby's skin color, but unfortunately, the rest of the world is not nearly as color neutral.
The rest of the world is not nearly as color neutral. That's what I've been trying to say. You're color neutral. It's fine. You exist in bigger color neutral spaces than anybody else has. But you gotta know, guys, it's like being aware of crime, all right? Let me just go see more. Screw it. Let's just go for it, please.
Shocked me.
And what was your reaction?
I wasn't surprised because they run in her family.
But this isn't your garden variety surprise, because this blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby's father happens to be black.
But we all went to 5th grade.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. We're having an adult conversation. I'm gonna say it. I mean no disrespect to Americans. I don't take lightly what I'm saying now, okay? But someone has to tell the truth. Just hear me out. And I'm going to shake you now when I say it. Most of you are not black. You are mixed race people caught in the myth of the evil one drop rule, which was created by an immoral people to keep you enslaved for longer than you needed to be. Wasn't it the 1770s or the 1870s when you guys we have people enslaved in America that you can still see on camera? The British Empire ended in the 30s, babe. Okay? It is a trap. And my problem with it is not that I'm judging you. It's that when you're rejecting a part of yourself, you will never get the self-esteem as deep as it needs to be. And this is the kind of thing that crops up in the shadows now, okay, babe? I meant no disrespect. I do not take lightly the weight of the history of America. Okay? I'm trying to speak in tough love here. Please hear me. I'm very triggered. This is all very raw for me. So I'm not being my best self. Welcome to Nikki and her 15 personalities.
Science. Brown eyes are supposed to be dominant. What's up?
I have no idea.
But let's examine the rest of the family tree. Gabe's mom, Christy, is white, which may explain his coloring. But what explains this? Trinity is Gabe's twin sister. That's right, they shared the same gene pool, even the same uterus.
So does that just blow you away? I mean, you basically have, a child who looks black and a child who looks white.
The Cunningham twins, born just minutes apart, arrived in contrasting colors that wowed even the nurses. People on the street don't know what to think.
Contrasting colors? How narrow is your spectrum of skin colors, guys? In Africa alone. Amongst our black people alone. I'm sorry, but that's a racially illiterate perspective.
What do people say to you?
How close in age are they? Are you sure they're twins? How did that happen?
Are we babysitting?
Yes. Are they related? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah. To be brutally honest, they've been called mutts.
That's right, mutts.
How can you do this to these poor children? They'll be ostracized for their entire lives.
Obviously, they're not identical twins, which happens when one egg is fertilized by one sperm, splitting in half.
They've been called mutts.
Okay, so let's listen to this and give it some vocabulary.
Babysitting?
Yes.
What do people say to you?
How close in age are they? Are you sure they're twins?
Are you sure? My perception as the non-person who's not in your couple is questioning your perception of your reality.
How did that happen?
Are we babysitting?
Yes.
Are you babysitting? Okay, that one's not harmful, but it's like, okay, it's fine. You know what? Let's not get all hot, touched about that one.
Are they related? Are you sure?
Are you sure? Are you sure that you gave birth to the kids you were there giving birth to? Honey, my uterus is sure. Trust me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. To be brutally honest, they've been called mutts.
That's right, mutts.
How can you
The caliber of person that would look at a baby that young and refer to them in animalistic terms is the one who is the mutt. They're the one who don't fit in because they don't belong in a society where human dignity is a thing. Clearly they cling so to the lack of human dignity. They're the ones who don't belong. They have no place in society. Not on the basis of their skin color, but on the basis of the content of their character, which is sorely lacking.
do this to these poor children? They'll be ostracized for their entire lives.
Obviously, they're not
They won't be ostracized for their entire lives, please. Okay, there's a lot of beauty to it. But what was Licky gonna say? One of the challenges for a person who has generations of mixed raceness as well is that this doesn't then just happen to ourselves. This happens to our nieces, nephews. Like, I've got decades and decades of mixed raceness, right? And so when I see this, I'm not just seeing myself. I'm seeing my baby nephew. my priest, the children at my the children at my schools, everybody. It's my whole community. And so a lot of the time, creolized races, such as colored people, are seen as gangsters and violent when, the first time someone experiences this rage is when they're an interracial parent, right? And that's about one child or your 4 kids, right? I experience that rage on a community level. Okay? The man on the left there is my childhood priest, a mixed race man, colored actually, who is not black enough now to be made into a bishop. Runs 4 churches, has had a church that, as I can remember, even during apartheid, was an interracial church. Greets people in African vernacular. Perfectly capable of running a church that is run in all these languages. Not black enough. Mixed race tax, babe. Okay, let's get on with this. Nikki don't like no disrespect to her mama. You're all my mothers and fathers. I don't care if you're black and white, Afro-European. I do think it's very tense for us. We tend to come from heterogeneous countries. And guys, if you didn't grow up in a heterogeneous country, if you grew up in a country where everybody's the same race, you have even less experience with this, baby. You're going to have to become racially literate in a hot minute to navigate all the complexity, to know when to be fair to whom, when to give the benefit of the doubt, when to forgive. Forgiveness is also going to have to be a big part of it because you can't live without family forever. Ironically, guys, do you know who's going to be the favorite child? The mixed race child. You know whose favorite they're going to be? The most racist grandpa or the most racist grandma. The one that didn't want you to get married. Your child's going to be the favorite of all the cousins. It is ridiculous. One of our mandates as mixed race children, if we are cycle breakers, is to not just desegregate our family line, but to end generational cycles. It depends. I can't speak for every family. Okay, this is a deep spiritual truth. But for many of you, also understand that some racist things that are said, give your family the dignity of their process. Okay, here's a difficult conversation. They didn't ask for this. You did. They didn't ask for this. You did. And they have no obligation to live according to your values. They are wrong. They're objectively wrong. Remember, I don't think they're right about me not deserving to exist. They don't have a right to say that to me as human beings. But it is not my place to take the driver's seat of their evolution. That is a sacred right. And every individual has the inalienable right to be wrong. It is not an unforgivable sin. It depends. Do not treat a misdemeanor like it is a felony. They are felonies. But you guys can be contextual and nuanced when it comes to other kinds of morality with racism too. You're not facing the same battle other people are facing here. You have to be racially sophisticated. You have to know that there's a time and a place for grace. You have to do the best you can and sometimes make the wrong decision. There are times where you're going to have to err on the side of love. Taking the moral high ground is not going to work here, baby. There's no place for ego. We got to be real grown-ups. Your child still needs a grandma. They still need cousins. And there are going to be times where you have to be protective, and there are going to be times where you have to loosen the bonds, and there's no perfect way to do that. It's messy, baby. Welcome to the grown-up world. You signed up for an interracial relationship, right? I am going to talk about the times where you need to be tough on your family in a minute. Let's just listen to my mother being slut-shamed here and try and hold me back. Call me a crazy mixed-race woman or whatever. Crazy black girl, if you want to call me that. It's fine.
Rare, but other biracial twins show genetics aren't just black and white. This family had light and dark twins not once, but twice.
How are they light and dark? Okay, I kind of, yeah, but guys, you need to start looking at complexions.
This family had light.
How? Oh, they light and dark.
And dark twins not once, but twice.
You got cappuccino and medium. That's a medium complexion. Guys, you could give birth to any color. You're going to have to understand how each one is perceived. Equality is not uniformity, babe, because each one's going to need a different kind of protection, especially if you haven't walked through the world as their race. And you're going to have to intersect that with their sex. If you're a white woman, how is a black boy perceived? If you're a black man, how is a blonde woman perceived? That's gonna have to become personal for you real quick, fast, and in a hurry. Your own racial trauma, you're gonna have to go sort out with your therapist. Can't be putting that on me, your baby. You can't. We are not ornaments. We're people. We look to you to protect us.
Twice. Strangers often assume Christy slept with another man.
That's one of the first things that usually comes out of any of the comments is they have a different father.
What goes through your mind when you hear accusations like, oh, well, clearly you've been stepping out?
It doesn't bother me because I know where I've been, I guess. It really doesn't bother me at all just because, they're his.
What goes through my mind is I'm an adult and can be tried as such. If someone guys, can I ask you a favor? If someone goes ahead and says this when I'm around, if you see me, if you see Nikki from Nuance with Nikki around, please hold me back. Rob me. Just rob me to distract me. You can give my phone back later. Okay? I'm too pretty to go to prison. I'm very annoying. Now me slut shaming my mother. You racially illiterate, immoral, rough around the edges, inconsiderate, unkind people. Voert se ek. Now, we've seen it from South African shores. We've seen it from the red, white, and blue. Let's go to the other red, white, and blue. Oh, can I just mock America for this? I don't hate America. I just hate, yeah. Red and white and blue. All the funny things you do. Stop being racist. Leave the children alone. For God's sake, the kids. Okay, fine. It was lame. I know most Americans aren't like this. I know the majority of you are such good people. You're such good people and you love kids and you're tired of this shit. I know. And good Americans, I just want to let you know while I'm being emotional and erratic. Sorry, guys. This is a question of whether or not I get to exist. This is a question of my family being treated a certain way. I have no other. That's a monoracial perspective. That's my dad. That's my mom. That's my cousin. Everybody. When you experience racism, it's from a stranger. When I experience it, it's from family. To my family. Ruining my Christmas. So you expect me to be sane? I don't owe you sanity. I owe you speak from, you know what? The truth in me that you know is real. You know how good Americans look? They look like this. That's how they look right now. That's why we never hear as much from them as we hear from the others, the loud ones. Small percentage, but a small percentage of Americans is bigger than a large country. That's why most of the good people in America look like this. If you ever see an American and look like this, no, you've got an amazing person there. Okay, there's my baby. While you are on this bipolar roller coaster with Nikki, let me tell you something. I have a man who crossed an ocean, crossed an equator, moved the world during a difficult time, just for me. You cheapen interracial relationships because your priority is not souls and soulmates. You don't know what defiant love looks like. Your ugly spirits are a reflection of you. Our love for each other is a reflection of ourselves. We're not out here forcing you to get into interracial relationships. Go build your little communities. Be happy there. Have your orgies. And have whatever race you want. How are we supposed to have interracial relationships if there's no different races? Okay? But leave us alone
Let us mind our own business. Let us mind our mixed race, interracial business, and you mind your own. You know what? Can someone study mental health in mixed race people and study the societal impacts, please? Because I do find that we're often neurodivergent.
But I also think that there may be a genetic thing, but I genuinely think that it's a societal thing. Do you get what I mean? And I have never had the privilege of going to university. I'm autodidactic, okay? Because I had an amazing dad. And I swam under the balls of Xhosas and Scots and Greeks. So, philosophers, thinkers. Yep, the ADD's hitting me. It's fine. Can you study, please, the societal impact of people constantly goal shifting around a child before they have a chance to develop their neural whatnot? Please? Somebody go study it quickly and then come tell me the results and translate it into layman. Did you hear that sound? That's the sound of the hardy-da. Ra is agreeing. Yes, I'm crazy. We're getting back to this conversation in a second. You know what, guys? I've decided not to perfectly polish this. Not that I ever do, but I want you to see me go spiral into this craziness. And don't dismiss me for insane. Recognize that I am navigating, and this is a lifetime of navigating very rough waters, having to toe a very fine line, surfing complex waters, eggshells often. Okay? Societal impact. I take responsibility for my part, but I'm up against a huge world with centuries of notions. Go and watch my mixed marriages, whatnots. The world has been obsessed for 4 centuries with interracial marriages, controlling them, making them illegal, imposing them, trying to delineate mixed race children by complexion. Go and watch Rabbit Proof Friends in Australia. Go on my channel. There's something about the Section 9 reserves in South Africa. I think I titled it, I Didn't Know This About Colored History. Just to have an insight into how the Anglophone world has had an obsession. It runs deep. The river runs deep. It's important to contextualize your child's history. Okay? And also to be grateful that we no longer live in that period. The hardy-das are agreeing with me now. This is a world in which interracial couples' underwear used to be paraded in courtrooms for evidence. At least here in South Africa, the most perfect system of racism, into which I was born by very stubborn parents and grandparents, all interracial couples. Didn't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. That's what I say when I say I'm a product of defiant love. If they could survive all of that, you've got this. You've got this. Okay, because it's being treated like it's such an anomaly. At least the world's getting curious. You should be lucky that the world's getting curious. Most of us grew up in a world before, in the pre-Netflix era, where we were the afterthought. Go and watch how the media portrays mixed race people before Netflix. At least you're living in a world that's asking these questions. But listen.
Health and body, maybe height, maybe strength that comes along the way?
Well, that's a really good question, and that's what's being looked at the moment. Different races will have different things when it comes to health issues and strength, as you say. And I think as twins get older, we will be able to learn that, and there'll be lots.
You could have just asked me. They're not different races. They're the same race. They're mixed race. Okay? They're just different colors. That's not the same thing, darling. But you could have asked me. I can answer you that question. I have one monoracial family and one very mixed one. I do have the health issues that they have. However, they are diluted in me. So the back pain and the ovary stuff that my fully Greek family has is very watered down in me. I do have some of the cerebral stuff that comes from both families, right? But the more and more and more you mix, the bigger the gene pool, the more you have more water to clean out and fight those things. Okay? Yeah, I do find in my community, remember, most genetically mixed race community in the world, you should be studying us. Get on a plane and come study the color community, please, so you can understand this, right? I find that what we have tend to be more cerebral things than other kinds of diseases. Look at me, I'm nearly 40. 2 years ago, I played a pregnant teenager in a movie. Okay? Black don't crack and mixed days fixed. There are problems. I told you, there are advantages to being mixed race. One of that is we don't age. Okay? Well, we don't age. Sorry. And the lesson here, boys and girls, is ask the mixed race people about being mixed race. They'll be like, oh, who are we going to ask? There are centuries of us. Come research us. Come ask us. I trust you. We know more about these topics than you. By the way, if you are giving birth to a first or second generation mixed race person, it is essential that you surround them also by creolized races. Just for a while. Let them come and visit for the weekend. Okay? They're going to have a different experience. Okay? It is essential. Trust me. I've seen overnight when I took an adopted colored child to the colored community. I saw over that weekend her body language change from this to that. They need to come be with us for a while. We will love them and then we'll let them go. Relax. Because a lot of those things that I was fighting out against, those are things we can't control, we can't fix, whatever. The one thing we can control is who we do surround ourselves with. Who we surround our children with. Okay? Bearing in mind, the only kind of kid I can have is a mixed race kid. So, Nikki's on the flipping alert already. We're going to hear the story now of Tasha. This is where you put your foot down and don't let family... Okay, this is even when you intermarry, né? Please, these are considerations you have to think about. You got to learn the Tasha thing. Okay, this is one of my emotional support content creators. She just... Yeah, I listen to her because I just feel better hearing her voice. Beyond Beautiful don't take no ish. She doesn't. She let me shut up. Talk Beyond Beautiful.
Am I the asshole for getting my daughter her own room? I, 38 male, married my wife Eliza, 36 female, 2 years ago. I have one daughter from a previous relationship, Tasha, 16, and Eliza has two daughters, Kaylee, 16, and Kenzie, 17. Me and my wife have had full custody of the kids since their other parents aren't in the picture. From the start, I noticed Kaylee and Kenzie didn't like Tasha, but I assumed it was because the situation was new. It's important.
All right, so what have we got here? It's not just your interracial relationship, you guys leading from the heart. Hey, today I'm in an interracial relationship, now I'm in a monoracial one. You've had a kid. From now on, this impacts those decisions too.
It's important to mention that my daughter is half black and could pass for full black. I'm fully white and so is my current wife and her children. Okay. So my daughter needs specific and expensive hair products that range from $20 to $30. My wife...
Okay, let me make something perfectly clear. You marry a black person or a half a black person, hair is a sensitive issue. We come from races of people, daughters of the black womb. Okay? Sons too. And there's a whole song you need to go listen to called I Am Not My Hair, I Am Not My Skin. Okay? And you guys think this is just a shallow issue. The texture of our hair once decided our slave prices. They once decided where we could and could not live. They have existed in black communities and half black communities, etc., for centuries as an internalized form of racism, which the white community has largely evolved past, thinks is ridiculous. You don't carry that tax. We still do. Okay? This is much heavier for a woman, men, where beauty is one of the ways in which we are seen, and hair is the biggest thing. Trust me. People who struggle with your weight, trust me when I say hair. Okay? Guys, this runs deep. The river runs deep, and as communities, we are only now beginning to heal these generational cycles. Go and watch on America's Top Model an interaction with a girl who didn't want to straighten her hair. Go and watch, when you watch movies, right? The curly hair, big-haired woman as the villain versus the straight-haired girl historically. Not the Netflix period, okay? Understand that only in the 90s, even after the 90s, the natural hair movement is only 5 minutes old, guys. And there's a sexual degradation that comes from it as well. I know of an interracial couple. The husband didn't like when she wore braids. He says she looks like a prisoner. Because his British mind, who loves this woman dearly, has been taught to view the hairstyles of kings and associate them with prisoners. Centuries of misinformation. It's the idea, it's why I say enslaved rather than slave, because, and we're not the only people that have been enslaved, right? But you don't define a person by what happened to them. Greeks and Romans centuries ago would have gone and seen braids, and those were who they learned from. Okay? This is a deep history. Do not trivialize it. You are now part black. It runs deep. You may not care. You may see it as nonsensical. The world in which we live does not. And it is often not the white people. It's often nondescript people, or it'll be black males, at least in my life. Right? So not black women. And not white women and men. That call you into, I wish I would think, they always call you into these rooms in these moments. You know? With rhetoric around your hair not being professional, and how, like, rhetoric around you needing to straighten it out and whiten yourself in a story. And it's never 100% white people. It's always brown people. They don't say it in those many words. Words like unprofessional, messy, this, that, and the other thing. Of course, this is undone hair, but talk about even when it's done and you're wearing your afro. It runs deep. Go and learn about the pencil test in South Africa. Okay? Go and watch the rabbit-proof fence. It won't talk so much about hair for the Aborigines, but it will talk about complexion and things. And watch it to get the history, because this still exists deeply and unconsciously in the minds of this world that is not so, what did that lady say? Not so racially neutral. Deeply embedded and untaught, and therefore more insidious.
Complained that I was spending. My wife complained that I was spending too much, and her daughters believed it was unfair that I paid so much for her hair. Am I the asshole for getting my daughter her own room?
Equality is not uniformity. It is not unfair. It's not unfair when I buy a 3-year-old blocks and a 16-year-old a Game Boy. Do we even have Game Boys these days? Ach, you know what I mean. I'm not trusting a 3-year-old with an iPhone. Fair means that you cater to the situation. I'm not giving my boy a bra and tampons. Okay, don't open that rabbit hole. You know what I mean. Okay, battling to find the rest of the story on TikTok at the moment. I saw it years ago on Facebook. Well, not years ago, a while back on Facebook. So we're just going to listen to this version of it. Sorry, it's AI.
Spending too much, and her daughters believed it was unfair that I paid so much for her hair. I shut it down immediately and explained that her hair products are a necessity. That night the girls made a comment about Tasha having horsehair weave and that white girls didn't need that. I've never...
Alright, so it's one thing when this comes from classmates. This is your daughter's home. Your home should be safe from racism. Your immediate home. Okay? It wounds in a different level. Remember, you are monoracial. You only experience racism from strangers. Only the mixed race child experiences it from family. Or, you know, a person involved in mixed race stuff.
Never heard.
I found it.
And her daughters believed it was unfair that I paid so much for her hair. Okay. I shut it down immediately and explained that her hair products are a necessity. That night, the girls made a comment about Tasha having horsehair weave and that white girls didn't need that. Okay. Wait, first of all, it is 2023. I thought we stopped making that joke in the early 2000s. Like, first of all, bitch, if you're gonna try to hurt my feelings, you gotta come with new material. I've never heard Tasha get so upset, and by the time me and my wife made it to the girls' room, Kenzie was laid on the floor with a broken nose while Tasha had Kaylee by her hair, complained that I was spending too much and her daughters believed it was.
Don't come with the moral high ground, and I love what she said there. If you're gonna hurt my feelings, you gotta come with new material. I am so stealing that. Found part 3.
Punching her repeatedly. Wait. Okay, so I was about to lie and say I don't condone violence. Fuck that. Beat they ass, Tasha. Whoop they ass. Because, bitch, you can keep being slick about your mouth. You better be ready to take a punch. Like, bitch, I hope your face can catch a fist.
I'm not gonna lie. Make whatever moral judgments you want about me. You want to be psychologically, abusive. Then you want to come and wax eloquent about physical fights. Honey, understand. You come with one set of ancestors. Up against me, yours are halved. I come with legions.
My wife was able to pull Kaylee away and was visibly upset with Tasha and yelled. I told her not to yell at my child and explained that if anything like this ever happened again, her daughters will be sent to live with their dad. This house was mine before they moved in, and the girls didn't like living with their dad because he's an alcoholic. So ever since then, I haven't seen anything happen. That was 2 years ago, and the girls did really well in school this year, and we decided that a vacation was well-deserved for each. So everyone put the name of the place that they wanted to go, and Japan, Tasha's choice, was pulled. The other girls complained because they wanted to go to Greece, but their mother told.
Okay, picking up where we left off.
And her daughters believed it was unfair that I paid so much for her hair. I shut it down immediately and explained that her hair products are a necessity. That night, the girls made a comment about Tasha having horsehair weave and that white girls didn't need that. Oh, wow. I never heard Tasha get so upset, and by the time me and my wife made it to the girls' room, Kenzie was laid on the floor with a broken nose while Tasha had Kylie by her hair, punching her repeatedly. Wow.
Tasha was outnumbered and shit. I've been there. I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. But no, you're not gonna leave me with the scar of feeling like the crown of my head is dirty. You're also not gonna do to me what happened to Tasha here, which is making her feel like her skin is filthy. Not gonna happen.
Old girl can fight. My wife was able to pull Kylie away and was visibly upset with Tasha and yelled. I told her not to yell at my child and explained that if anything like this ever happened again, her daughters will be sent to live with their dad. The house was mine before they moved in, and the girls didn't like living with their dad because he was an alcoholic. So ever since that day, I haven't seen a thing happen. That was 2 years ago. The girls did really well in school this year, and we decided that a vacation was well-deserved for each. So everyone put the name of the place they wanted to go to. In Japan, Tasha's choice was pulled. The other girls complained because they wanted to go to Greece, but their mother told them to shut it. I think they harbored some resentment to Tasha because of the location trip. I got 2 bedrooms, one with a queen-size bed and one with 2 beds and a couch for the girls. We ended up getting in late, so instead of doing any sightseeing, we just walked the streets of Tokyo. Tokyo off the chain, for anybody that ain't been. Kylie and Kenzie were talking about a cute guy, and he walked over, so they assumed he wanted to talk to them. But instead, he wanted to talk to Tasha. He complimented her on her huge bouncy afro and her style. It's Y2K style. And asked for a picture. That's how it was for the rest of the night. She was like...
Okay, so yes, people in Asia are very excited. They aren't used to black people. I was an au pair to mixed race twins from America there in China. It's hectic though. It was much easier when we separated the twins because in Beijing at the time you couldn't have 2 kids unless they were twins. Plus they had boy girl. Plus people would literally stop and take photos of the kids. I kid you not. Okay, so that's some of going overseas, and people from monoracial countries they find it interesting. I don't take it personally when they touch my hair. I have had people touch my hair out of curiosity. A lot of people do, and I understand that. I totally understand that. For me, it's like, okay, they're just curious. And I do see people from homogenous countries as having a whole different relationship to race, so I have a lot more grace, right? People who come from a country where everybody's the same color, I can actually put up with a lot more from them to an extent. I am more forgiving. But one of the dynamics to notice here, I said before, mixed race girls have a universal appeal. Mixed race boys too. So often they are going to get more sexual attention. And that's something people don't want to hear. People don't like, and then it's the mixed race person's fault. There is the anomaly of being seen as exotic and interesting, but there's also the anomaly of being seen as familiar. I told you not everything about being mixed race sucks, right? It sucks when the people are crappy people. But this is going to happen. Okay? Okay? It's ugly when it's fetishization, but this does happen.
Like a celebrity. It was honestly amazing. We get to the hotel rooms, and right before I could get ready for bed, I get a call from Tasha, who was upset, saying she has nowhere to sleep. Their room is right next door, so I go over and look at the two girls protecting each bed. I ask what's the problem. Tasha explains that she doesn't even care about a bed, but was willing to take the couch, but the girls wouldn't move their stuff so she could sleep. They must want another ass whooping. I asked them to move their stuff, and they asked me where they're going to put it. On the damn floor. I explain we are here for a week, place them in the drawers and closets. They tell me no, so I call my wife, and she says just tell Tasha to put some covers on the floor to sleep. You got me fucked up. Oh, my God. I hang up and leave and come back with the key for Tasha. They realize that I got her a room, and Kenzie was upset because she's the oldest. I told her to get over it, or to get over herself. By the time I walked Tasha to her room and got back, my wife yelled at me for playing favorites.
Now, this would be a tough thing, even if there wasn't race involved. This would be a tough thing. I wouldn't like kids to do to this to each other. I would be upset either way. But it is important to note that you have to be with a certain caliber of family. They have to be self-aware because it carries a much deeper connotation. You see? Guys, don't take this lightly. Don't fetishize it. As I said, mixed race kids are not your ornaments. We are your children. And you have to be careful from the moment you have us who you involve in your life. You may not have the positional power and the finance that this man has. This is a very serious decision.
Just told her to sleep on the floor. And so basically you telling her that your daughter's things are more important than your stepdaughter. That's wild. I said I wasn't going to have Tasha sleep on the floor.
You who are not earning money, living off your rich husband, want to tell his baby how to live.
Tasha a brat and causing problems with the vacation and family like she always does. I asked her what was that supposed to mean. She sighed in frustration and said forget it, but sleeping on the floor wouldn't hurt nobody and Tasha needs to stop acting like a brat. I told her if she believes it's not a big deal, why doesn't she sleep on the floor tonight then? I laid diagonally, taking up the entire bed, and she began yelling at me that I couldn't be serious. I told her stop acting like a brat. When she realized that I wasn't moving, she left to the girls' room and slept there.
On the floor?
I don't feel bad about getting Tasha her own room, but maybe I could have talked to my wife better.
Nope, you do not owe her any consideration. She's bullying a child. She has a moral double standard. She's not the kind of mom who takes accountability for her child's actions. This I would say to any mom. Actually, many moms of my race need to hear this. Actually, many moms of my race need to hear this. That is not love. That is not parenting. That is not parenting. You don't love your kids. You love their comfort more than them. And you're going to end up with some divorced-ass, lonely-ass kids who have no friends, who are fired from their jobs. And that is because you don't love them enough to make them uncomfortable. Oh, Nikki, you never gave birth. You're not a parent. Honey, all I have is 18 years of experience working with kids in 5 countries. I've met enough parents. You're not the parent. Move along.
Yeah, so, man. The petty in me wants to say you're not the asshole at all. I think you made your point, and you know.
That's not petty. It's not petty. You asserted yourself. People want to put you in impossible situations. They sign up for it. You see, guys, make what moral judgments you want. Make what false equivalence you want, okay? But the reality of the United States of America, and the reality even deeper in South Africa, is that we live in countries where spaces were literally, through apartheid, through the Jim Crow laws, designated only for certain people of certain races. You know, black people and what you guys call color people, which is black. Black and white. You know your Jim Crow laws. In South Africa, it went so deep to the point where we're talking about there are spaces for white people, spaces for colored people, spaces for Indian people, spaces for black people, and then there were spaces that only a Zulu black person could have, and only a Sotho black person would have, and a Xhosa black person. Then there were spaces for only black, colored, and Indian. Then there were spaces where only a Cape Malay colored could come, but no other colors could come. Then only Cape Malay coloreds and white could come to this space. And then only these kinds of doctors used to be able to heal those kinds of people. Riyad Musa talks about it. How his parents were not allowed to operate on white patients, and a guy in the middle of a heart attack refused his treatment. Okay? So him taking up space on behalf of his baby, asserting his space, was not an act of pettiness. It was the end of a generational cycle. He didn't initiate the fight. He made sure that when in battle, he didn't lose it. This is a spiritual, generational thing going on. The bonds are only being loosened now. He had a responsibility to do that. The alternative was to fail as a father. His primary job is to protect his baby.
By the asshole for getting my daughter her own room. So we're finally back in the States, but a lot of things happened in Japan. Instead of telling my wife face to face, I texted her and told her that I canceled their flights and the room and that they had a day to figure something out. She immediately ran to my room and started banging on the door, pleading to let me talk to her. I gave in and opened the door. She jumped on me and tried to hug me, but I pushed her off. She explained how sorry she was and to give them another chance.
So much to unpack here. So, okay, as an African, I wouldn't do something quite that petty. I wouldn't, because there's a thing called Ubuntu, at play here. On the other hand, he did assert his positional power. I mean, he had it. He had the positional power. And it's funny how when put in her place, the power dynamics shifted and now she's groveling. You see, I like the kind of person that could just take accountability. You know what? I fucked up. I'm learning. But the kind of person who wants to play madam with their left hand and then when the rug is pulled out from under their feet wants to grovel. Those people make my skin crawl. They make my skin crawl. Bring that same energy you brought. Because when I'm on the back foot, let me show you something. A woman raised by black men. Black men are the example of what it's like to stand in your power on the back foot. Right? And I want to make a video about this one day. It's just a touchy topic. So what was I saying? Someone felt that, hey? Someone felt that. You're welcome. I love you. I'm a warrior when I'm on the back foot, and I'm gracious when I have positional power. At least I aim to be that. I'm not perfect. But yeah, that's what my different cultures have taught me. There's this broad buffet of cultural experiences you can have, and you have such objectivity when you have a deep, rich sense of rootedness in multiple cultures, because you're not an outsider anyway, no matter how they see you. It's they're wrong. A child's a child. But yeah, that's what I think of a warrior as. Anyway, interesting story.
I told her her chances had ran out and there was nothing she could say to change my mind. She then said she was pregnant and said that I can't leave her now. Oh, man. If this is true. Whew. I asked how long she knew and she said a month. I told her either she's a shitty mother for putting our unborn baby in jeopardy from all the drinking she had done. Wow. Or she's a liar. I guess she forgot about earlier, but just said I can't leave her and was doing anything to keep me. I told her to get out of my room.
So she's the one who needs him, to the point where she'd bow down like a groveling lunatic, where she would lie about the sanctity of giving birth to a child. This is not the kind of individual who understands sanctity. How can she understand your mixed race child? Every child is a miracle. Every child is beautiful. Yours may have the mandate to end generational cycles. I have been doing it for years without meaning to. Because I am perceived as a different race everywhere I go, a lot of people go, wow, I've never met a white person like you before. I'm like, but, and when I've gone to racist spaces, and it's like, I show them the first example in that racist space of a kind white person. They open their mind to that, and then they'll go to actual white people who are kind. There are other people who have internalized racism, and this weird beige space that I live in, where they might cognitively write off a black person, but they see a little bit of themselves in me. They listen to me and they listen to the black girl in me. They see that intelligence and articulation opens up the space for them to do that for black girls. Do you know what I mean? My ambiguity has been used by the universe to build a bridge between those who are on different sides of the spectrum. Not that they should have needed me to do that, but the universe has used me so many times in this way. That is a sacred thing. That's why you can't be a shallow person who wants to come and date people interracially for your ego. This is spiritual work. Okay, we have a very specific mandate here. There are some mixed race people, I'm just like, I can tell you were born from that kind of an interaction because you're just embarrassing. Please. There's a whole page that I want to do a video on. He spends a lot of his time insulting the black people in my country, and he's not even from my country. So much he says, and I just want to tell him that Ronan Keating would say to him, you say it best when you say nothing at all. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. Listen.
Hurry up and figure something out. I took advice to make sure they don't have access to my house if they had gotten home before me. So I called my mom and explained to her the situation. I asked, can she and dad run to the store and pick up some locks to switch them out? They of course did, so now she doesn't have any access. And our
now grandma's involved. You know grandma didn't like that sister-in-law.
bank accounts have always been separate except for household expenses, which didn't have much to begin with, but I put that money into my personal account. I guess she used all her personal savings and some money from her mom to get home because a day later, she was texting me saying how she couldn't get into the house. I ignored her and just enjoyed the rest of the trip with Tasha. We ended our trip in Mihara, which was pretty fun. We got home around 4 in the morning. I had scheduled a meeting with my lawyer the same morning to drop some divorce papers. I knew the begging and pleading to stay wasn't over. Around noon, she came over. At first, I wanted to pretend I wasn't home.
Guys, nobody that you need would ever beg you to stay. That's the person that needs you. Nobody that you need would ever beg you to stay. That's not an interracial lesson. That's just a lesson.
She kept banging on my door saying she knew I was home because she'd seen me on the Ring app, so I opened the door. Her daughters were there too. I told them that I'm evicting them, and legally, I know I have to give them 30 days. They all pleaded how they were sorry, and to give them another chance and that they'll change. I told them that my daughter can't be hated crimed in our home anymore, and that me and Eliza are over. I handed her the divorce papers. A mix of emotions came over her. At first, she started crying, and I thought she was having a panic attack. But anger took over, and she began to blame Tasha for our divorce.
Okay, a person of no accountability. A person of no accountability. So there was something I wanted to say earlier. What was it?
I told them that I'm evicting them, and legally, I know I have to give them 30 days. They all pleaded how they were sorry, and to give them another chance and that they'll change. I told them that my daughter can't be hated crimed in our home anymore, and that me and Eliza are over. I handed her the divorce papers. A mix of emotions came over her. At first, she started crying, and I thought she was having a panic attack. But anger took over, and she began to blame Tasha for our divorce. See, you made the right decision, brother. Every slur imaginable came out of her mouth. Wow. Tasha, who recorded most of it, called the police. When they came, Tasha showed them the recording.
Ooh, it's not 9 and 24 anymore, babe. We have cameras now. Accountability's a thing.
The police told her to leave. They advised us that the video should be enough evidence to get a temporary restraining order, but we better hurry before the courthouse closed. Luckily, the order got granted, so Eliza had to leave the house. She stayed there while we were gone, but protested that she wouldn't leave her own home. I showed her the order and told her I would call the police if she didn't leave.
If you don't know how to handle a position with responsibility, you don't deserve it. You cannot sit on a throne you've abdicated, dear. It isn't your home. It isn't yours. You didn't respect the conditions of the home.
She called her brother to get her, but told her daughters to stay because there wasn't enough room at her mom's. I texted her that she better have someone pick up Kylie and Kenzie because they are not welcomed here. She said legally it's their home, and I told her she's right, but that food and furniture in their rooms is legally mine. So if they want to starve or sleep on the floor, she better get somebody to get them. She said I wouldn't dare. That was last night. I've been patrolling the
so when it's your kid sleeping on the floor, then you realize the problem.
fridge this morning, and Kenzie tried to get eggs and bacon out of the fridge. I snatched them out of her hand and told her to get a job and leave, and told her not to touch my stuff. This is wild. I heard her crying to her mom on the phone and said I'm being cruel.
I wouldn't go there, but I'm kind of glad he did. We just have different cultural perspectives, but you know what? I think they pushed him to this.
She tried to call me after, but I just let the phone ring. Also removed the tissue and soap out of the bathroom and locked them in my room, so she also complained to her mom about that. Eliza sent her brother to pick them up, and I guess they are staying at her mom's house, which probably won't last for long because it's a 3-bedroom apartment and her brother, wife, and 2 kids already stay there. As for Tasha, I don't know what I can do to make up for these 2 years of torture, but I'll try my best to do so. Thank you for all the help. I'll keep updating if anything else happens.
No, that's okay. And he did say that whatever happened in Japan, he didn't expand on that, but it must have been a lot to push him to this place, right? We can't judge people in situations that we don't know. We can't judge people in situations that we don't know. There's another part to it. There's an update, but yeah, there was a lot to learn there, not just about interracials, huh? If you're still with me, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I know there was a lot going on there. Sorry that it was so long. It is what it is in an hour to hour. Yeah, that was a wild ride, huh? Thank you.